That feeling when you're on shift and you're tired and you're hungry and you're walking past the cake finds that someone's brought in because it was either somebody took a set of car keys home with them, it was someone's dog's birthday, it's someone's 6-week anniversary since starting on your team. You know the crap excuses that shift workers have for somebody needing to bring in some extremely low quality sweet goods. And the first few times you walk past these things that are on the side, you probably find it quite easy to resist temptation because you're maybe not that tired, you're not that hungry, you're having an okay week, and you kind of think, oh, I don't need them today. But as that shift goes on, tiredness increases, energy levels reduce, maybe hunger increases, cortisol from stress increases, and every time you walk past these crappy goods, you're looking at them and you think, nah. And the next one, no. And eventually you'll start to build up these justifications as to why you should have them. Maybe you've had a good week and you maybe think, oh, just one won't hurt, or I'll have one but I'll have a smaller dinner later, or I'll have one and I'll do an extra 5 minutes on the treadmill to burn off the calories. And these all sound great, but you build them up and you build them up and you build them up, and eventually it's like, yeah, I'm going to go and have one. And you go and have it. And only within like the first 5 seconds of eating it, you're kind of regretting your decision because the anticipation of how good that was going to taste rarely matches reality. And even though you've remembered this from previous times, you kind of forgot it in that moment because that overwhelming urge to just have that treat because you think you need it or you deserve it. It's called dopamine, and it's basically the reward hormone that your body builds up to get you to eat things that you shouldn't because they're high in energy, like sugar or fatty things. And it's very hard to override it. So when you have to kind of override that body's feeling, that's what we call temptation. And you have to kind of decide, like, do I want it or do it not? But the problem is that eventually you are going to give in to temptation. It's how it works. So let's look at why this happens and what you can do to avoid that temptation. Now, willpower is like a muscle. Let's say your bicep, okay? For a short period of time, that can be quite strong and it can feel quite like it's in control if you're in the gym. But eventually that muscle, the more you work it, the more tired it gets and the less work you can actually do. And it's the same with your willpower. You can walk past things a few times and your willpower remains strong, but it's like eventually it will get worn down and it will run out of energy. And when willpower is gone, then the floodgates can open and things can get really badly really quickly. So what can we do really to avoid you needing to use that willpower? Now, everyone wants to know how to avoid temptation in that moment. But for me, if you're needing to resist temptation, you've already failed. The cure to resisting temptation is to not have to face it in the first place. So what we're going to do now is look at the ways that you can reduce that need to resist temptation by simply not having to face it. First up, we've got nutrition and hydration. I've put these together because they are very important. Looking at hydration first, our bodies find it very difficult to differentiate between hunger and thirst. Now, I know from personal experience and from speaking to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shift workers prior to them joining our program, that their hydration levels are never where they need to be. If you're a female of kind of typical size, 2.5 litres of liquid a day. If you're a bloke, realistically, it needs to be 3+. And if it's summer, obviously it's raining at the moment, typically in the summer, you need to drink even more because you're losing through sweat. So many people I speak to are drinking 1 litre to 1.5 litres a day. It's just not enough. And a lot of the time, your body will be mistaking that thirst for hunger because it knows that there is moisture in food. A lot of the time, it can associate eating with getting the liquid. But what you actually need is to just go net 0.5 litre of water. Even a cup of tea or, dare I say, a diet energy drink will provide you some relief from that feeling of hunger, which can again reduce the need for you to resist temptation. When you think you're hungry, you're actually just thirsty. Have a drink first. If you still want it, maybe there's some other things that we need to address in the meantime. And then when it comes to nutrition, too many people are not preparing their food ahead of time to go on shift. If you're turning up to shift with no food, it's so unlikely to be a good food day. A personal experience, I know that, okay? I was 120 kilos, not going to the gym, never doing any meal prep. And I go to work on the premise that I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to go to the co-op and get a meal there with a salad. Bollocks, it never happens because you get to lunchtime, which inevitably ends up being like 2:30 in the afternoon because you've been job to job. And you end up getting a meal there with an all-day breakfast sandwich and an additional side as well, and it ends up being a fiver. You're like, oh, for some terrible quality nutrition, spending loads of money, feeling crap about yourself. For me, meal prepping is like nobody wants to do it. It's not fun, but it saves you having to make a decision the next day. It gives you a way out from making a poor decision. Think about it like this. You know that feeling when your car's low on fuel and you think, I'll just fill it up on the way to work tomorrow. Cool, sounds like a great plan. But the issue is you never remember that you need to fill it up. So you wake up in the morning thinking, and you get in your car and you're already running late because you're disorganized and you're like, oh crap, I'm not filling my car up. And you have to go to the petrol station, which is inevitably busy with other people like you. This was me, by the way, who've also not filled up their car on the way to work. And you end up being like 15 minutes late to work just to fill your car up to make excuses, and then probably inevitably get a cake fine because you were so late for work. And it all could have been avoided if you'd just done the thing the day before. And the reality is, if you've done that once, you'll probably do it again because you've got the mentality of somebody that delays making decisions till later. So when it comes to the nutrition, always prepping ahead of time, because if you don't, bad things will happen to your wallet, to your head, with your inability to actually deal with these issues. And also to your waistline, because you're going to be eating food that's not good for you. Same with going to McDonald's and anything like that. Okay, next up, we're going to look at sleep quality. So for me, if you are having bad sleep, you are basically playing life on hard mode. By being more tired, you have less willpower, you have less energy, you can't think as rationally. And almost every person I speak to on the phone before they join the shift worker shred has this bad habit. They go to work, oh my God, they get into bed and they go on their phone and they will doom scroll TikTok, Instagram, WhatsApp, whatever, for a period of time before they go to sleep. This delays you getting to sleep. And not only does it delay getting to sleep, it means that the sleep that you get is worse quality. So you're having less good quality sleep. That means when you wake up in the morning, you're going to feel less rested. You're going to be more tired. You're going to have less energy, and your willpower is going to be reduced. And now you all day then you have to deal with the repercussions of staying up too late. And it all could have been done by not having your phone in the bedroom. So that is one thing that I say this nearly probably most podcasts. It's such a game changer. It really is. It unlocks so much potential in you as a person by not having your phone in your bedroom. You do not need to be on your phone in the bedroom. It provides no value whatsoever. And it's one of the first habits that I did when I started losing weight. And it's one that I do to this day. And I will never go back to doing it because it just is such a massive backward step. Like I say, giving yourself poor sleep as a shift worker, it's hard enough to get enough sleep. When you're compounding it with your own bad habits, like I say, you're just playing life on hard mode and you're needlessly doing it. And it all comes from just going now and getting your phone charged, taken out of your bedroom, and that way you can't charge your phone in the bedroom. Simple as that. Go and get it done. And then habit stacking. So this is a good one because it gives you some momentum every day, and it also helps you build that willpower. So when I talked about a bicep having a finite amount of strength, the more you use it every single day in a set way on a program, you can build up the strength and it can be more powerful. So one thing that we get every single shift worker inside the shift worker shred to do is to build that strong mindset as well as a strong body. By having a morning routine, by having an evening routine, it allows you to keep making these little incremental gains every single day. Try and get 1% better every single day. Let's say, for example, you wake up in the morning, you've got no phones, you get up, you have your water, maybe you go and stare at the sun for a few minutes just to wake yourself up naturally, really good in summer. Brush your teeth, go to the toilet, and then eat some overnight oats or eat food that you prepared the night before. Straight away at the start of the day, you've got 5 little wins. Now, you're probably not going to want to do these little things every single day, but they're not that hard and they make you feel better. So if you can get into the habit of doing these things every day, it starts the day with some momentum, with some positivity. And even if you feel like you don't want to go to the gym or it feels like it's hard to stay on your nutrition, you've still got this habit, these little bits of progress to fall back on every single day. And when you do this, it builds up your discipline, it builds up your kind of expectation for the day of I'm going to have to face challenges. If you wake up in the morning and you just start doom scrolling on your phone, you get out of bed 10 minutes before you need to leave the house, you put on your clothes, which maybe aren't ironed, you skip breakfast, you've had such a bad start to the day and it's just so unnecessary. It all comes from getting into bed early the night before and having some little habits to do in the morning. If you can get into those habits of doing those things, it's a game changer. I don't use that word lightly. It is a genuine game changer. By starting the day on the positive foot, it sets you up for the rest of the day. If you start rushing, no food, no sleep, no hydration, you just feel shit all day, and the same shit happens every single day. And that's why people feel stuck with no energy. It's not an energy thing, it's a discipline thing. Discipline is the difference between deciding what you want now and deciding what you want later. And being out of shape is essentially giving in to all of the things that you want now and taking your eye off the ball of the things that you want later. But the more times you can think about what you want later, the easier it is to think about the things that you don't want now. And all the things that you want now inevitably are going to stop you getting to the things you want later. Now, if you can master these three things with the meal prep and the hydration, with the habit stacking, and with improving your sleep, all of a sudden it becomes so much easier to resist the temptation of things like cake fans, of McDonald's, because you will be seeing progress on the scales mentally, physically, and you're so far down the fitness journey that you've made progress that you don't want to undo it, and you don't want to go back to being the person that you were before, the person that had the really weak willpower, the person that gave in to temptation, the person that was out of shape. And those cake fans on the side, you look at them and you just do not want them, because you know they remind you of a person that you used to be. You'll think, oh, remember I used to eat those cake fans all the time. I remember I used to go to McDonald's like 4 times a set, which is exactly what I did. And that for me is one of the biggest drivers to keep staying in shape and to looking and feeling better, because I never want to go back to feeling like I used to feel when I was 120 kilos, not going to the gym, just doom scrolling on my phone in bed, skipping breakfast. It's a horrible place to be. And if you're watching this and you're feeling that, you actually can get out of it. It just takes a bit of discipline, it takes a determination, it takes you making a little bit of progress each day. You don't need to jump on a fitness journey and be absolutely perfect every single day. You just need to do little things that are going to move you forward to get you away from where you are at the moment. It doesn't need to be crazily complex or difficult. Just little steps, stack them up, stack them up, stack them up, stack them up. And before you know it, in a few months, you're just such a better person. People will be noticing how much better you look. You'll be noticing how much better you feel. Your work performance will improve. You'll be happier because you'll have more energy. You'll be able to enjoy your rest days more. You'll be a better partner, a better friend, a better colleague. And it doesn't take that much to start. Crack on with those three things, and before you know it, you start noticing all of the changes, and it just becomes so much easier to resist temptation. So there you go. I hope you found that useful. Hopefully there's some actionable steps that you can take from it. If you found this useful, please give me a like, follow the page so you don't miss the next episode, and I'll see you guys next week.